Some of you have asked me where I came from. So I think it's a fair statement to say that I'm going to answer you. And I hope you can handle this. When I was a kid, I was born in Virginia. Okay? I was born in Portsmouth, Virginia. My father was a Marine, a very dedicated and brave Marine. Anyhow, I was born in 1959 in Portsmouth, Virginia, and life went swimmingly, I suppose, for about the first 6 years, outside of doing a lot of moving back and forth and up and down the East Coast. I lived in Virginia, North Carolina, New York, and here in Washington. Every once in a while we would move. By the time I was 10 years old, I lived in 28 different places. I have a complete list at home. I'm sorry I didn't bring it. I couldn't locate it. But I made a big long list. And around the time I was 7, when I was 7 years old, my life changed dramatically. One afternoon, one sunny afternoon, I was playing in our yard. We lived in Lewis Trailer Park in Norfolk, Virginia. We lived in a trailer, mobile home, and I'm playing alone out in the yard, not bothering anybody. Suddenly, a police car and another car that I find out later on I know is a plainclothes police car, because a couple of detectives got out. Police car and another car drive up in front of our house. The cops get out, the detectives get out. They go to our house, they go to the door, and they storm through the door. They go in, they grab my mother, they bring her out arm in arm, and she's, objecting and, what's going on. I'm sitting there watching all of this. The two cops look each other in the eye, and they threw her down into the ditch, into the drainage ditch in front of our house. I'm 7 years old. They threw her down in the drainage ditch in front of our house and broke her hip. She's screaming in pain. She's cursing them. They don't care. Once again, they pick her up and hurt her. They drag her to the car and they throw her in the back seat and slam the door on her. And she's screaming her head off. She's crying her eyes out. She's cursing them. I don't understand what's happening at all. Then the two plainclothes officers take me in a car. Where do we go? They take me to a foster home. I have no idea where in Virginia this was. They took me to a foster home. It was horrifying. I don't remember how long I was there. A week, 2 weeks, a month. All I know is after that, they took me to a hospital where I was interned for 1 month, exactly 1 month. And it was a real hospital. It wasn't a children's hospital or anything like that. It was a regular hospital because they had no problem with us kids going around. I used to take the elevators to all the other floors in the hospital. So I know it was a hospital. It was a regular hospital. We were on a children's ward in the hospital. It was really strange. After a month there, I was sent to another foster home where I was for about 9 months. I spent a Christmas there. A Christmas I remember very well because I got the biggest gift there. I got a gift that was bigger than the tree. It turned out to be a gigantic race car set. My parents made absolutely sure I had a gigantic Christmas gift because I couldn't be with them. That was my first Christmas away from them, of quite a few. So, after that, I was sent out here to live with my great aunt and uncle, which I did on 3 occasions during the 60s. So, back, they're living in Jacksonville, North Carolina, near Camp Lejeune. So, once again, the police come by and they take me. They kept sending me here to Washington to keep me out of the custody of Southerners. Atrocious, overbearing stormtroopers that all need to learn a lesson. What they did was they took me, they made me get into a suit, they made me wear a suit. I'm in the back seat of the car. Wherever they were taking me, I'm telling them I'm getting sick. I have a massive problem with motion sickness. I'm telling them I'm getting sick. They don't believe me. Oh, we got an air conditioner. You know what the air conditioners in cars were like in the 60s? They were non-existent. Unless you had your face plastered against it, you weren't feeling any of it. And I promise you, they weren't feeling it either. Oh, well, it's really cold. It's really, really cold. That's all they would say. So ultimately, I puked my guts out. Unfortunately, I didn't think of doing it into the front seat until after. I wish I had. I wish I'd have puked in the driver's lap. But instead I puked all over myself. So they had to get my suit cleaned before they could take me on to the next stop where I wasn't going to be wearing a suit, that's for sure. So they put me in a jail cell while they had my suit cleaned. Here I am, 7 years old, and they put me in a jail cell. That's nice. Somewhere in North Carolina, and I'm going to track that down. I'm going to find out where that was, and then off to an institution, like a farming institution for wayward kids in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. I was there 4 months, 4 horrifying months. And then from there, they shipped me to a worse place in Swannanoa, North Carolina. If you've never heard of Swannanoa, that makes perfect sense. Swannanoa is a tiny little dot on the map that nobody would know. It's south of Asheville. A place called the Juvenile Evaluation Center. And the most horrifying place on earth. Well, actually, North Carolina is the most horrifying place on earth. The South is the most horrifying place on earth. So, they abused me, they imprisoned me wrongly, they made little, they basically showed me up all the time. They were always giving me crap because I'm a Jew, okay? I heard no end of Jew boy, do this, Jew boy. I want to tell you, in 50 years of me living in Seattle, nobody has ever given me shit about my race. Not one person. Nor would they dare. I'm a lot bigger than I was as a child. A lot bigger. And I know a lot. Nobody here shows racism. I guess that's the main difference. People here are assholes, but they're not racists. People in the South are both. And the only thing the South has over anybody here is people down there are polite and know their manners. No one here does. No one here has any manners. That's evident. So, anyway, I had to live through 14 and a half months of terror in this place called the Juvenile Evaluation Center, where I had my 9th birthday and I had my 10th birthday there. Happy birthday. Not to mention the Christmases that went along with my 8th year and my 9th year. So I get out of that. My dad retires from the Marines after 20 years of glorious service. He divorced my mom. He got custody of me, and he brought me as far from the South as was humanly possible. He brought me to Seattle. It wasn't far enough as far as I'm concerned, because I can still smell the South. And the first thing I did was eliminate that lousy racist accent. The only accent in the world that was brought about by racism. You guys, because how else do you explain British people suddenly speaking with such an ignorant accent? Because all you did was make fun of the slaves that you guys were controlling, and it stuck. That's where that accent came from. How do you like talking like you're slaves? Because that's what you got, all of you. So, anyway, as a result of this, when I came back here 50 years ago, I had some problems, and I wound up in a place here called Echo Glen. Echo Glen is more like a boys' camp, and quite frankly, it was very refreshing. And looking back on my sorry early life, it's probably the greatest time of my life up to that point. I had total freedom at Echo Glen. Things have changed there now. Things have changed in the last 50 years at Echo Glen. They don't even have ladies there anymore. They don't have women there anymore. And half of the population is dressed in orange jumpsuits.